For a long time during this, I had a hard time listening to music at all. I've been getting back into it though, and there's 10 albums I want to share with you today. These albums I think are the best of the year so far. If there's any albums you think I should be listening to, drop them below in the comments. I am aware that certain albums, I know the Fiona Apple record is great, however, it was just not really what I'm trying to listen to all the time. That's just my taste personally. Doesn't mean it's not a great record. My contender for album of the year so far is RTJ4 by Run the Jewels. If there was an album among all these that sounds like it's made for the times and sounds like it's actually a response to what's happening right now, I think it would be this record. Two of the best tracks on the record are Out of Sight featuring 2 Chainz, and also Just, which I think is maybe the best anthem I've heard all summer. That features Pharrell of all people and Zach De La Rocha from Rage Against the Machine. Zach De La Rocha collaborated with Run the Jewels on Run the Jewels 2, an album that was widely acclaimed as one of the best albums of 2014. I had the pleasure of seeing Run the Jewels open up for Jack White at Madison Square Garden, I think in January of 2015. They're awesome, and I wish that we could be seeing them live during this, but alas. The next record on my list is Punisher by Phoebe Bridgers. Phoebe Bridgers burst onto my scene at the end of 2017. I remember I was compiling my best of 2017 list and was listening to an NPR podcast about their list, and I'd never heard of Phoebe Bridgers. And I listened to the album Stranger in the Alps, and it completely blew my mind. I saw her at the Music Hall of Williamsburg in February of 2018. Soccer Mommy opened up. That was an epic performance and possibly the best venue to see an artist like Phoebe Bridgers. She brought Soccer Mommy out at the end, and they did a rousing cover of If It Makes You Happy by Sheryl Crow. The next time I saw Phoebe Bridgers was at Brooklyn Steel, performing with Boy Genius. Boy Genius is, of course, the supergroup of Phoebe Bridgers, Lucy Dacus, and Julian Baker. Boy Genius is actually on a track on this record, Graceland 2, probably one of the most beautiful songs Phoebe Bridgers has ever recorded. She's released 2 videos from the record. Garden Song, I think, is one of her instant classics. Also Kyoto. Kyoto is a little more up-tempo and fun. Maybe her most epic track on the record is I Know the End, the last track on the record. Phoebe Bridgers was supposed to be opening up for the 1975's World Tour this year. She's actually featured on Notes on a Conditional Form, the new record by the 1975. The track is called Jesus Christ 2005 God Bless America. Pretty killer track though. Maddie Healy actually premiered this track sometime last year. Phoebe Bridgers adds a verse to it. They definitely would have performed this live together. They were supposed to play at Madison Square Garden this summer, which would have been epic. Phoebe Bridgers still makes some very subdued music on Punisher. There are moments like the end of I Know the End that maybe gave her some more theatrics to play with live. So it's interesting to see what she would have done with these songs live. I guess we'll have to wait. Next is a fantastic record by Waxahatchee called St. Cloud, a follow-up to her 2017 record Out on the Storm, which was easily one of my favorite records of 2017 and even now. The record is produced by Brad Cook, who you may remember from Megaphon, and also for his production work on I by Bon Iver. Waxahatchee released a video for the song Fire before lockdown, and while she's been on lockdown with her partner Kevin Morby, they've actually performed some of her tunes on a Tiny Desk concert live from home. Based on her Instagram, I think they're still hiding out in Kansas City, Morby's hometown. A band that we've definitely fallen in love with in this household over the past couple years has been Tame Impala. Tame Impala released The Slow Rush this year. It turns out Kevin Parker was on Saturday Night Live over a year ago performing these tunes, especially the song we like the most, Borderline, and I did not know that. March of 2019. Anyways, the record is great. Tame Impala produces a certain mood, a certain vibe, and it's a vibe I like. I love putting it on when I'm driving or when I'm hanging out or I'm in the swimming pool, whatever. It's a lot of fun. He's recently released a video for Lost in Yesterday. Definitely a record worth checking out. If you haven't heard of Perfume Genius, check out No Shape, also from, I believe, 2017. There are a number of songs on this record that have been licensed for things like commercials or in movies or in trailers or in TV shows. An unbelievable record, unbelievable artist. The new record's called Set My Heart on Fire Immediately. There's a great funky tune he released a video for called On the Floor. One of my favorite songs from the record is called Jason. Just one of my favorite artists. I haven't had a chance to see him live yet. I really want to, but I guess we'll have to wait until whatever we're going through is over. It's a shame. It turns out we have a lot of alumni from my Best of 2017 list because the next artist is Moses Sumney. He released a double album called Gray. You might have heard Moses Sumney's song Doomed from his 2017 album Aromanticism. I actually learned about Moses Sumney the same way I learned about Phoebe Bridgers from an NPR podcast about their favorite music of 2017. I instantly fell in love with Moses Sumney's record Aromanticism. If you saw the movie Queen and Slim, which I guess was the end of last year or early part of this year, one of the final scenes features Sumney's track Doomed, and it blew me away in the movie theater when I heard it. My entire body had a visceral reaction. Also a great movie if you haven't seen it, Queen and Slim. I really enjoyed it, and I definitely suggest checking it out. Gray is a lot more epic of a record than Aromanticism, and there's 3 tracks in the middle of the first side that I think go great together and really form, I think, the most effective part of this record, starting with the track Virile. Pretty much anything Moses Sumney releases is going to be amazing, so I highly suggest checking him out. Speaking of Soccer Mommy released a new record, Color Theory. Soccer Mommy was one of those artists that was just about to go on tour and is in the middle of their album cycle for an album that got released right before lockdown. Very painful for artists to have to be going through this right now, especially because touring is the main income for pretty much every artist these days. Soccer Mommy is great live. Like I said, she opened up for Phoebe Bridgers at the Music Hall of Williamsburg when I saw her in 2018. And then just a year or so later, she was doing her own headlining show at the Music Hall of Williamsburg. Really great guitar player, cool band. Definitely check them out if you haven't before. This record has sort of a 90s Sheryl Crow vibe they did on purpose, and I think is actually pretty cool. Every year, I have the best of list going through my head almost the entire year. I have anxiety that I'm not going to find all the artists that I should, because I love to listen to new music, and I love taking advantage of being in New York City and seeing pretty much any artist I want to live. However, every year after I release my best of list, 2 or 3 months later, there'll be a record or two that I either didn't know about or didn't spend time listening to. That becomes pretty much my favorite record of the previous year. So that happened last year with an artist named Caroline Rose, and she had an album called Loner in 2018 that I didn't hear at all. And then in 2019, my bandmate Chris introduced it to me, and it became one of my favorite records that I listened to nonstop last year. She's back with a new record called Superstar, and she made a video called Feel the Way I Want to. Interestingly enough, was shot on an iPhone 11 Pro. I thought Loner was a classic record, so this record doesn't measure up exactly the same. However, I think Freak Like Me is one of her best tracks, and I would love to have seen her live this year. Another artist that was going to go on tour, but ended up having the tour canceled because it coincided directly with lockdown. Sucks. Next on the list, Hayley Williams, Petals for Armor. We are big fans of Hayley Williams in this house. We've been Paramore fans since the jump. I remember having friends over my house in 2008 to watch a DVD of Paramore's live concert, whichever one they released. I don't remember what it was, but I do remember having people over to watch it. I believe this is her first solo record, but Paramore released a great record a couple years ago, sort of like a comeback. And this is kind of in the same vein. There's 2 tracks that she's done videos for. Dark Horse is probably my favorite song from the record. It coincides with a certain style she's been gravitating towards since the last Paramore record. They had a song called Caught in the Middle on that record that I loved. She also made a video called Simmer, which is the lead off on this record. Great record. It's also kind of a double length. Definitely worth checking out. The last record on this list is Caribou, Suddenly. Caribou is the artist Dan Snaith. It's electronic music, but live they usually perform with a full band. Haven't had the chance to see him live yet. Was going to see him at Brooklyn Steel this summer, but once again, alas. I really enjoy the track Never Come Back. It's on my Best of 2020 playlist on Spotify, which I will link below. Really cool record, definitely gets me in the mood. I love the weekends, being outside, having on some electronic music, and just enjoying time with friends. What's that like? When will we be back doing that? When will this thing ever end? Sigh. Anyways, those are 10 records that I've been listening to, and albums that I think you would enjoy, especially if you share similar musical taste to mine. I'll be listening to the rest of the records that come out this year. I'm always obsessed with finding out what was the best record, what were the best records of the year. So I'll keep you posted as I know. Thanks for watching. I have a YouTube channel. It does not have a direct link yet, so you can go to highforthis.com/YouTube and it will redirect you to my YouTube page if you want to subscribe and see more content like this. If you're really feeling generous, you can click the thumbs up button, you can click the bell, you can do all the things. Leave a comment. Let me know if you're enjoying this content, and perhaps I'll make more. Stay safe out there. Hugs, kisses, love to all. Talk soon.